I don't know how to put this, but I'm kind of a big deal.
Good afternoon, this is Dr. Bones Live, and it's Saturday, which means it's time for another episode of...
And now it's time for another episode of Blogger's Corner with Britt.
Blogger's Corner, and welcome Britt back to the show. How are you, Britt?
I'm doing well, how about you?
Not too bad at all. As I was just telling you, we got a little bit of a late start, just because I had a few little issues with my iPhone. Don't normally have any issues with them, but... the newest update, of course, didn't update all the way. Then it restored and backed everything up, which was already backed up, so it had to be restored. And it took a lot longer than I anticipated, so I do apologize for that. And what a pain in the butt. So I guess word to the wise, just update from your phone and don't plug it in and let it run through your iTunes because you might run into a few issues. So that's what I got to say about that. But I did last Sunday, like I sent you the DM last Sunday when I watched... Arrow because I'd missed it, and like I was saying, like what a crock. I mean, it just didn't make sense, and pretty much what we talked about was we're talking about Slade's we'll call it fake love for Shadow.
Yeah. And
because he barely even knew her, and all of a sudden this is a huge issue, which is a bunch of crap. And I was like, okay, that's kind of a weak way to make that guy have a huge rabbit ears about something. I mean, I'm sure there could have been many other things besides that instance in particular. I know it was like, wasn't a choice, and Arrow didn't shoot her, you know, like he didn't have a choice. It was one or the other. He didn't say shoot this person. They just said pick one. It's like, and then, you know. So
that is so true.
So not really choice he made or want to make, so. And then of course there's Ivo, and he's another story altogether. And there's a quote actually that I wanted to read that I told you about last week as well, Britt. And this it says, she said literally. It says, where am I now? That Ivo is definitely like a snake because he could slither his way right off the boat. So, which I completely agree with because, I mean, at least his character, he is a douche, but he plays it well, and they give him like a good background. So, you know, he may be the bad guy, but at least it's an interesting character.
Yeah, I feel like his whole motivation for being evil, quote unquote, is much better fleshed out than the whole thing with Slade, the whole thing with him and Shadow. It would have been understandable if he and Shadow had lived on the island together and were surviving, and then Oliver came along and he busted up their love fest, but that wasn't, they all knew each other the same amount of time. It was just completely ridiculous, and quite frankly, it's just contrived.
You know what, I totally agree, and I just, like, I'm honestly, I don't know about you, but I'm kind of getting, we'll call it, let's say, bored of Slade's character, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's so much potential. I think the actor, Manu Bennett, who plays him, is a great actor, has great charisma, but he's just not being utilized to his full potential. He was on the show, the Star show, Spartacus, developed quite a fan following on there and did a good job. People who've seen the show have been very complimentary of him, but I don't know, it's not working. And I don't exactly completely know why. I think one of the reasons is that when you have a villain, you kind of want them to be the more mental. You want to see that person playing a game of strategy and playing more mind games. And Slade feels more focused on using brute force. I don't really buy him as a villain operating from the mind.
No, totally true. And I thought that initially was supposed to be more of what his character was about, not necessarily like. I mean, obviously, it's nice to have kind of we'll call it the strength and the bruteness, but yeah, I was always under the impression that was more of a psychological thing with him.
Yeah, me too. I agree. I don't see it. I felt like the character they had who was playing the political, we haven't seen in a while, and his name's escaping me right now, but I thought he was a more psychological heavy than what they're doing with Slade. I would see Slade as being his muscle as opposed to the other way around.
Good point. I actually didn't quite think of it completely that way, but that's a good point. So, I mean, yeah, just in general, like, they got to do something different because, like, I mean, I'm, like, slowly starting to lose interest, and I don't want to. I want to enjoy the show, but so they gotta figure something out here kind of quickly to add a little bit more spark to the show, or at least change Slade's character up just a little bit.
Yeah, I hope they can turn it around. When it started off, I felt so confident they were not going to enter into the classic sophomore slump, but it feels like they're midway into this season, and it's some things are falling off the wheels a little bit.
No, absolutely agree. And yeah, they're going to need to change it if they want to keep a good fan base. And like I said, I want to be into the show, and I want to watch it, but, you know, when they start doing stuff like this, you know, they're kind of taken away from it. So I hope they can pick it back up and straighten up and make him back to more interesting, and, you know, bring in like a bigger plot line or a better twist. You know, like maybe as much as Roy's annoying, maybe bring in some of the right arrow, like, and kind of send him off somewhere. You know, again, like.
I totally agree, and get rid of Sarah and these clunky characters that just aren't fitting in with the show. And I feel like it, you know, not to get completely off topic, but it's like a show like Vampire Diaries, which it started out really good, and the way that it worked so well was because so few people knew that they were vampires, and now we're into, I think, the 4th season of the show, and everybody knows, everybody's a supernatural creature. And I think with Arrow, similarly, you have everyone knowing that he's Arrow. I feel like his group of people who know has gotten too large, and it just kind of killed the intrigue of him being a superhero. Well,
that's right, because, I mean, they want to kind of, the quote-unquote, remain in the shadows, you know? They can't have, like, that many people on the right. That's a big circle.
Yeah, absolutely. And everyone on his team, like Sarah, she can do everything he can do. So he isn't really that special anymore.
Well, right. So, I mean, and that's kind of pointless. I don't understand really keeping her around for that matter.
Me either.
So you're right, because if they can do the same things, then it's kind of, you're right, defeats the purpose of, you know, having the distinct character of Arrow who's, you know, strong, knows martial arts, you know, he's got great aim with his arrows and sort of thing. Now she can do exactly the exact same thing. It's like, well, now you're matching them, and she's not really playing like an evil. She's almost like an evil twin, but she's not quite all the way evil, right?
Exactly. She's way too good, but she's really just a brat.
Well, for the most part, yeah, absolutely. So, they're on a break right now, are they not?
Yes, they are.
Okay, good, because I was pretty sure when I checked ahead to see if it was on, it didn't say news, so I want to make sure that the listing wasn't wrong.
The listing was correct.
Okay.
I believe they'll be back the 20-something. That might be next. Is that next week?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so they'll be back next week, but they were on a break this past week.
Okay, good. I just want to make sure I didn't watch another episode, because I actually had time to watch it this week on time, so. But, good. All right, so... Moving into the kind of popular rock news, these are the Bones notes. First off, and this is another thing I DM'd you about last week, about Chris Brown, that he was diagnosed with was it PTSD and bipolar, and that explains his behavior. And, you know, I don't buy it. I really don't. And the reason being is just because, like, there's a lot of money involved there that, you know, that could pretty much buy an excuse. I mean, there are people who have it and obviously are getting help for that sort of thing, but just making that up to give them an excuse to be essentially just to be a dick. I mean, you know, like, I mean, I don't like that idea. And then, of course, what happens this week? Guess who's back in jail again? And this time it was for what's called a violation of his probation. He missed a hearing for his anger management class, and on go the cuffs. He missed it. Sorry, so he's back in jail. So yeah, so I was like, I'm not surprised, and like, you know, like, you can only talk your way out of stuff or buy your way out of stuff so many times before, eventually there's going to be some give, going against them as opposed to for them.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's sad that he's chosen to take a disorder that is serious, and some people still have yet to kind of accept the reality of those mental illnesses, and, him claiming that he has them makes people doubt the legitimacy of other people's situations, so that's very upsetting. And continuing on that note, the fact that we've already know that money's been exchanging hands, and wasn't there an investigation about the fact that he didn't really do his community service,
yes,
and that someone had fudged his numbers?
That's pretty much what happened, yeah.
Yeah, so there's just a lot of shadiness going around this case.
Yeah, so, I mean, so there you go. Another guy just keeps himself in the news and not for any good reason at all. And as much as it can be slightly entertaining, it's kind of boring. I'm hearing more about him like every other week, like you hear about Courtney Love or you used to hear about Axl Rose, and I was getting pretty old. It's like, okay, like enough,
Yeah, I agree. One of the reasons that I can't really deal with his bad behavior continuing, I know those people, obviously not pillars of morality necessarily, but Chris Brown is physically assaulted people. He has serious issues, and he is hurting people, and it's not really something I don't want to laugh at. I mean, he's making people victims, and yeah, some people are just jerks, but he's gone above and beyond that. So people, and I can't believe he has so many people still being so loyal to him, but, I guess that's the way it goes.
I'm not sure if they're being loyal because of them being close or anything like that. I think they're being loyal because of the dollar.
Oh.
So, yeah, I mean, well, that's my take. Most of the time, like these artists, doesn't matter who they are, like whether it's hip hop, rock, what have you, a lot of times these entourages, these people are just following them because there's money involved, not because they actually like the person. They just kind of fake it for the money.
Yeah, it's what they called back in the 70s being a groupie.
Well, that's right, So I mean, if he's gonna pay for the stuff, why not? I mean, if you're getting technically being a free ride, I'll pretend to like something. They're gonna keep buying me stuff. Yeah. So no. Let's be honest. We'll do it a little bit before your conscience gets the better of you. It's like I can't do this anymore. No, like so. But no, admittedly, the first thought would be, if someone's gonna buy something nice and expensive, it's like, yeah, I'll take it.
Very true.
So, I mean, like I said, I mean, it's just one of those things that. Most people, we'll say normal people. I mean, I'm not sure how to generalize because it depends on what your version of normal is, right? Would do it at least once before thinking like, and no, the conscience gets better. You're just like, no, I can't do this because they're feeling guilty now because it's. Obviously, if you don't like the person, it's very rude to accept something like that and just pretend that you do just for the simple fact of like something expensive or what have you.
I definitely agree.
So, and not to kind of drag the conversation down a little bit, but I mean, all I wanted to make sure was saying like I possibly would do it, but no, I do have morals. I wouldn't say keep on doing it repeatedly, like not like that at least. Because
I mean,
go ahead.
I'm just saying for me. When I can totally understand how someone gets into that element and you're seeing someone do bad things and it's like quicksand and you're kind of in the middle of it. So hindsight is 20/20 and things get, a little out of control. But I would hope that seeing someone behave in a violent manner would snap you out of it. And just my take.
Well, no, you hope so for the most part. I mean, obviously every person's different. Every person's going to react differently. So you can generalize, but you can't, So you're only speaking about like a small majority of the population.
Yeah, that's very true. And I think as a society we've become pretty anesthetized to violence, so it doesn't pack the impact that it might have years ago.
All right, and speaking of violence, I'm not laughing because it's violence, but it just sparked something. The other day when we were at work. One of the people I work with, she had to go to the dentist and wasn't a big fan of the dentist. And the woman's like, say mid-40s or so, okay? And now, and there's a few other people I work with, mid-40s, like early 50s, and they're telling like, oh, like I don't mind this, or I hate the dentist, and blah blah. And then, well, the woman said, she goes, well, I think she's like 6 or 7, and she started to cry for some reason, and the dentist actually slapped her in the face.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. And it's one of those things, you're in shock, like you kind of chuckle a little bit, but you just can't believe it. Yeah, apparently that happened. And then my boss is in her office, and her daughter's what she hears, she goes, I got slapped too. He's like, what? Like, really?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was more like one of those kind of chuckle and laugh, like, you're kidding, right? Like,
I mean, you would hope.
Obviously that doesn't happen anymore because it's kind of frowned upon, so.
Yeah, no kidding. My mom would talk about when she was a kid going to the dentist, and her dentist would become, violent with kids, and that's just thankfully unheard of now. But I mean, it's just that's wow.
Well, you know what? And after hearing that, it pretty much explains why, let's say, a lot of the older generation don't like the dentist. Like, well, now that makes perfect sense. Then I totally get it now.
Oh yeah, I agree.
Because,
I think my mom struggled. That definitely carries a lifelong scar on you.
Well, that's exactly what I was just about to say. No, and while you're that young, it's going to scar you a little bit, and whether you realize it or not.
True.
But so yeah, so I just like I said, I'm not condoning violence or anything like that. I thought of that because it was one of those things, like I was in shock, and when I heard that, I was like, you got to be kidding me, right? What do you mean he slapped you?
I know, and people, I think, it is so shocking, and I don't, people kind of doubt it because, I don't know, it is so shocking, and so that makes people who are victims not want to speak out, and it just continues this cycle of abusive behavior.
Right. So, let's move on and get off that and move to something a little bit more happy.
Okay.
Coldplay debuted a few of their new songs at the iTunes Fest off their newest album, which isn't released yet, but it will be out soon. And if it's not alright, it might be, because I know they're supposed to stream it. So let me double check on the date for you, and I'll post it later. But there's that going on, and apparently Soundgarden tore up the show because they played one of their most well-known albums, Super Unknown, in its entirety, and it just went over so well. And that was something I would have liked to see. Like, I have seen Soundgarden before and actually saw them for that tour, so I saw most of the songs play, but there's a few songs they didn't play that I would have been curious to see live. So, and but yeah, they apparently tore the house down with that, and that's something I would have loved to see. So, other news, No One's Son, they will be having some new music out soon, as well as the Queen's Minions, which is really cool, and the Queen's Minions are giving me exclusive, which is gonna be really cool. I'm looking forward to that, because I have had them on the show before, and it was a lot of fun and a good time. I'm just trying to think if there's any other rock notes that I missed that are kind of stick out. Oh, one more thing, actually. I almost forgot about this one. Josh Homme from Queens of Stone Age has finally said in a recent interview, saying that, I'm done with the whole Grammy stuff. I've got more important things to take care of. I don't need to think about that. Whatever, it's out of the way. Because he was on the same bandwagon as Trent Reznor for the Grammys cutting their performance short. Okay. So he's stepped off of that and kind of gave it up. But he was involved, but he wasn't that heavily involved. I mean, he made one comment probably like a day or two after Trent Reznor had tweeted the Grammys and tweeted about the Grammys, his disdain for them for what they'd done. So, he kind of just backed him up, and that's essentially what he's doing. Josh Homme was just backing up Trent Reznor, a film musician and close friend. So, so he stepped off of that, and that's, for the most part, I can't think of anything else that really stands out that was that kind of caught my eye. Unless you're... Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, the whole thing... Did you hear about what happened with Lady Gaga down at South by Southwest?
Her whole speech about taking music away from corporations?
No, that and the performance artist that vomited on her.
Sorry, I did forget about that. And actually, you just made me think of some one other thing, but we'll talk about this for a second first. Yeah, and actually, speaking of which, there was an article in the Rolling Stone about that, and obviously Lady Gaga is defending herself. I just want to see if I can find it really quick because just the title of the article alone says Lady Gaga's South by Southwest keynote. I'm not saying vomit will change the world. What?
Okay.
All right then, take care. Bye bye. So yeah, I mean.
Thank you, Captain Obvious.
Yeah, I know. Oh, it just kills me. It's like, and I didn't know what had happened until I saw that. It's like, well, I'm gonna Google it now because there's gotta be something behind it because I wasn't sure if the article had everything. And I looked at that, read the article. I was like, oh boy, here we go.
What was the point of it? I've read some people being very upset saying it glamorizes bulimia. I don't think that was her intention, or I would hope it wouldn't be her intention, but what is the motivation behind it?
You know what? That was one thing. She wasn't really clear on that. I mean, she didn't say, she did say it had nothing to do with bulimia, but she said it was just part of what she was feeling when she asked these creation artists to come up on stage with her.
Okay, and
So,
it was real
that's
it was not a special effect?
That's what it's saying.
Oh,
Yeah.
God. Okay.
Yeah, pretty grody stuff. I mean, so who knows if that'll change in a day or so, saying, well, there was a typo error or something like that, but who knows. But yeah, so pretty gross stuff.
I don't get it, and I know there's some people in the performance art world who believe, that's become a new buzzword. Shia LaBeouf was doing performance art when he was sitting in that room by himself with the bag on his head, and now people are being vomited on for performance art. I just don't get it.
Yeah, you got me on that one too. I have no interest in it whatsoever, and I don't know. I really don't have a word. Just like I don't know, and like, yeah, I don't.
I mean, it's like people call being a shock jock when you do something shocking stuff on the radio, and I don't understand why people have looked down their nose at that, but then they're repurposing vomiting on people and saying that's performance art, and how being a shock jock isn't performance art. So.
Yeah, I mean. You're absolutely right, but the shock jock thing can only last so long before the jokes kind of start to get tired and old. Same thing over and over again. It's like, all right, it was funny the first 50 times, but now it's just kind of lost it,
Yeah, I agree.
So, I mean that's why, like, I don't they don't bother me just because, like, you're for the jokes a million one times, just reworded or what have you. So I was like, oh, well, it's like I haven't heard this before, but okay, so. But yeah, the other thing we're going to talk about is I'm just at a loss for words. I mean, this kid is like one of the biggest douches in the world. Like Justin Bieber, like the video was on TMZ. I'm not sure if it was his arraignment, but they were talking to him, and then they asked him about what's her name. Help me out here, Britt. Thank you. You're all over that. Perfect. Anyways, don't ask me about her again. It was like, oh my god. I just shook my head. I was like, this is ridiculous. Like, why are they even broadcasting this? Like, why do we even care anymore? Like, that kid's got to knock it off. Like, and that's what he is. He's just a kid.
Yeah, he is, and it's gonna. I'm sorry to say this for his legion of fans, but I see a future like Vanilla Ice, and not as like that guy's, from what I understand, a very cool, down to earth guy who was never a jerk. But I'm saying, in terms of where he's gonna be career wise, I think they might be following similar paths.
Yeah, no, a good example. I mean, a really good point. You're absolutely right with that. So, yeah, I'm just like I said, I'm just sick of hearing about him. Like I said, he and Chris Brown are like hearing about Courtney Love and Axl Rose all the time. So it's just one of those things that I kind of glance at the articles anyways, just to see what's up. But when I watched some of that video, I just was like, I got no words. You know, if there was an award for the biggest douche, he'd be getting it. He'd be he'd be front line. So. And speaking of, like, actually, I'm not sure how many years ago, but I believe it was either like season 4 or season 5 of South Park. Do you remember John Edwards crossing over the show?
Oh my gosh, yes.
Right. So, anyways, they kept on calling him a douche because they went to a show because they needed to talk to Kenny and find out what happened to Kenny's spirit. And of course, everybody knew it was full of crap, right? And it was so funny though the way they portrayed him. It was pretty much accurate. He goes, is there somebody with a relative named Maria? Maybe a sound? I have a brother named Marty. That's Marty. You know, it's like so. You know, really well done, and they went to his house to complain to him, and it was funny because like the butler answered the door and he hits the button and says, "Ladies and gentlemen, John Edwards." He like walks down the stairs. So obviously all this douchey stuff, and they made fun of it and saying like there's a book saying how to impress women, cold readings. So it just lines stuff like that someone will have some connection to another. So obviously there's no mystery or a connection, with the spirit world. They're just plain simple BS that someone will connect to at some point or another.
That's very true. I mean, people who want to see it will see it. And I think at the core of every person who's a quote-unquote psychic is they're empaths and basically just have a way of empathizing with people and knowing what they want to hear. And they just know people really, really well. I think better than the average person. And some people choose to exploit that gift, claiming they have abilities. And some people just use it to help people,
Well, that's right. So, I mean, and alluding to him, what happened was there was apparently a award for biggest douche in the universe. So he got captured by aliens. They took him up and they brought him to the award show. And of course, he won the biggest douche of the universe. So it was pretty funny the whole time. He's like, "I'm not a douche. I'm not a douche."
But I do accept this award and thank all who voted.
Yeah. And obviously, the song, Miss America, here she is, Miss America, and they're like, here he is, the biggest douche. And the whole song was just revolved around that. And meanwhile, they're showing pictures of him in the background. This is during the credits, so.
Well, it's clever.
Yeah,
I didn't even know anyone had tried to take him down in a critical satire.
Yeah, I just when we were talking about that, I just had I had to bring that up just because it was funny, and it was, like I said, it was so well done. So, But that's all the news I have. So, your blogs, what have you been doing, and what have you been up to?
Well, I kicked off the week with a review of 300: Rise of an Empire, which is the sequel to 300. Did you get a chance to see it?
Not yet, but next week I'm supposed to go on Thursday.
Oh, neat.
So
I liked it. I gave it a 7 out of 10. I think I preferred the original, but I think there were definitely some things that were improvements over last time. For instance, Eva Green is in this movie, and she's one of my favorite actresses, and she brings some feminine mystique to the whole universe of 300, and I think there are some very cool graphics. There is the use, and I think they did this in the original as well, but picking up on dust particles, and it almost looks like mystical stardust. I wish that when I looked out into my room and saw dust, that it looked as magical.
Oh, it's just
That's
dust.
That's a very cool take. So yeah, that was interesting. But one of the things that just that hurt, and no pun intended, killed part of the movie was the constant use of zooming up on this blood splatter, and two, perhaps more than that, is they're in the middle of a fight sequence, and you're really getting into it, and you're seeing that sword get drawn, and you're anticipating that next move, and then the camera cuts to slow motion, and all the momentum is just like, ooh, it's not getting out of it. I mean, that you're seeing the guy's face twist. No one can kill another person with a facial expression, but this movie definitely tries to make it seem possible.
Well, right on. No, that's one movie I do want to. Well, I am going to see next Thursday. Hopefully, fingers crossed, nothing gets in the way. But that's definitely the plan. So, and it's still on IMAX, which is nice. So I'm looking forward to that. But,
yes, I saw it there, and you're gonna love that. I think it's gonna be very immersive.
Because the first one was really good, and like I do like Gerard Butler, and just a quick note on him. If anybody like watches TMZ at all, I mean, it's one of those shows that it's like kind of background on maybe on and off. I can maybe watch like a few minutes of it, but I'm not sure how many years ago. But they had a song. They made a song about Gerard Butler, and
Really?
It's a funny song, you know. So because they're just had been in the news a lot, I guess recently. I think it was because that movie he did with Jennifer Aniston.
Oh yeah, Bounty Hunter.
Bounty Hunter, right? So the one he did with Charlize Theron was pretty much in that time period too, wasn't it?
Yeah, The Ugly Truth. I think that was actually Katherine Heigl, the romantic.
Oh yeah, you're right. It's Katie Heigl.
It's okay. I want to forget it was her too.
But yeah, and so they used no different pictures and that sort of thing, and they're like it's pretty much saying like what a good guy is, like saying there's another struggler because he's Gerard Butler, you know. So it's actually pretty funny too, and so I'll after we're done here I'll find it up on YouTube and I'll post a link because it's a funny song. It's like maybe like a minute and a half, but it's really funny.
That's fun. That is funny. I like when they do satires, like when they Michael Bolton did the Jack Sparrow spoof song.
Oh yeah.
That I thought was pretty hilarious. But yeah, Gerard Butler is not. Unfortunately, he's not in this sequel. They have another actor who kind of is taking on a Butler-esque role, who is Sullivan Stapleton. I never seen him before. He really pales in comparison to Gerard Butler. It's a tough act to follow, granted, but when there are actors like, you watch True Blood, right?
I've seen the first 2, maybe 3 seasons, but I know majority of the actors. So.
Okay, well the guy who plays the werewolf, Joe Manganiello, who is also in Magic Mike, he is just a beast, and he's just a huge guy, and he would be perfect for one of these sword and sandal movies, and I don't understand why he is getting passed over in favor of these people who look like they can barely pick up the kitchen table. I really don't understand. He really would look the part of a Greek god warrior, and instead they got these other people in there who don't have the weight, don't have the screen presence, and Eva Green just basically chews this guy up and spits him out. It's not even a contest. I personally was rooting for her the whole time, though the movie wanted me to root for the other guy.
Well,
but yeah, it's a fun movie. I think women have something to enjoy in it, which is rare for those kind of movies. But the whole Speedo and cape outfit, that just gets, I just kind of got, ugh, all right, enough already. Not to mention these guys in this movie didn't even, the first movie, they had all these guys buffed out and they were, shredded. And this time, not so much. So I don't really get it.
Yeah, you got me on that one. But yeah.
I guess.
Go ahead.
I just guess that the men from the first movie, men didn't want to be objectified anymore, and so they kind of wanted to make the look of them look more real.
Right.
Just a guess. I don't know.
No, I know.
Objectified.
If that was the case, I'd like to know who would be complaining about that. Like, really, who cares?
Yeah, I don't know, but I did watch an episode of Glee one time where they talked about it, and I realized it was a real issue facing young men. So, I mean, I want to be sensitive to their struggle.
Oh, fair enough. I guess when I was a teenager, I wanted to be a rock star, you know, like so I wasn't really thinking about that. So I had the long hair and the Lennon glasses, the whole deal.
There you go.
So,
I mean, that was your dream. I know people who dreamed of being bodybuilders, and you have these people being, influences. But I don't know. I really think that is something maybe better to aim for than other things. But I mean, I just obviously it's not all that matters. When you're making a movie about guys running around in speedos and sandals and capes, I mean, obviously you want to have something a little aesthetically understandable, I guess you would say.
yeah, I know. That's awesome. Speedos, like really.
Well, I look forward to hearing what you think about the movie next week.
Oh yeah, I'll definitely let you know with that one. But there was a few more things now that I was trying to think about it. Oh, damn, I'm kind of blanking here. You know what? Just on the topic of actors. At least one who's decent, but has a little bit of a laundry list of issues with berating people, tossing phones at them.
Russell Crowe?
Oh yeah, Russell Crowe. So, and I was thinking about that the other day because I looked up and there's so many things like, wow, this guy has like a few issues, and it was more being verbally abusive than actually physically abusive.
Okay.
And the only one he really did was when he tossed a cell phone at the hotel clerk for some reason.
Yeah, because he couldn't call his wife in Australia.
Yeah. So, yeah, seeing that, it's one of those things kind of just shake my head, and it always makes, I know I've talked about this before, but it always makes that South Park episode where they make fun of him so much funnier. Because, as I told you before, the show is based on, he has a TV show called Fighting Around the World, and he literally goes around the world beating people up. And and it's one of those ones that's so stupid it's funny.
Okay.
Because he just loses it if something happens. He's in one scene he's in Brooklyn, next scene he's in Florida. He's like, he goes, here I am, the beautiful Florida Keys. And he's like, wait a minute, wasn't I just in Brooklyn? And he's like, it's that goddamn editor. So he goes to charge after him, and he's got his sidekick, and his sidekick is his tugboat named Tugger. This tugboat's literally following him around on land and jumping around. And like one of the funniest things is when he goes to different places, like if he's trying to hide from the first, like he's got this little bush he hides him behind, like literally just a little bush. He just kind of crouches down behind it, and you can clearly see him. So it was one of those ones, like I saw it before I knew about all the incidences, and then after when I saw that, I was like, oh, this makes it so much funnier. And every time I think about that, it just makes that show so funny because it's so true. And later on, actually, just like they'd asked Kanye what he thought of what South Park did to him on a few other episodes, they had asked Russell Crowe too, and the clip they show is all he says is, it was good. It was good. But kind of a half smile. You can always see he's like kind of angry. But here's the thing is, I can't remember if I told you about this before, but really quick, Russell Crowe actually invited them to listen to the debut of his new album. So,
no, really?
So despite the fact that he might have been a little upset about the show, he was still kept in contact with him and actually kind of befriended them. So it was funny because this is part of this little video on YouTube, and I believe it's Trey Parker's talking, and he says, so I went to his house, he sat me down between two speakers, turned it on, and I sat there and listened to the song. And when the song was done, he goes, I was under pressure, he wanted me to critique it, say something. So I said something, and everybody kind of looked at him. He's like, was I not supposed to say anything? so like a little awkward moment there, but it was funny, and he started chuckling because he's like, I didn't know what to say. He goes, I was supposed to say something. That's what you wanted, But apparently he was wrong, and they made fun of Kanye twice. And once we played the show where he's talking about why Kim Kardashian is not the Hobbit,
thought that was funny.
So, but before that, like I think I said briefly, he was on the original episode. There is a really dumb joke made by one of the kids, and Connie didn't get it, of course. And then finally, first time he realized that because the brother joke was, no, do you eat fish sticks? Do you like fish sticks? Yes. Do you like them in your mouth? Well, then you must be a gay fish. And he didn't get the joke, and so he the whole time trying to figure it out, and then he comes to realization for some reason that he's a gay fish, and so they made a song called "Gay Fish" to the tune of a song, I believe it's "Heartbreaker." So it was pretty funny. So that's why when he comes back, when there's like, oh, this is Aquaman. No, I've hung out with Aquaman. I know Aquaman, but I'm not Aquaman. I'm a recovering gay fish, and that's what he meant. So that was the connection. So if you'd seen the one before, it would make perfect sense what the comment about the gay fish was, right? So.
Yes, I did not get that, but I appreciated the luminary effects of it. Learning.
But that's one. It just cracks me up because that's the thing too. Is like Kanye was a little upset about it, obviously, but he actually thought it was kind of funny. He goes, "Well, next time I just hope they're not as mean to me, like." Which is kind of pretty much opening the door for them to be even more.
Oh yeah, then you're just asking for it.
Well, that's right, and that's why obviously it's one of the best disclaimers in the world, saying that anybody that's impersonated is not the real person, and it's impersonated poorly, so they can essentially get away with impersonating these people and not getting in huge trouble or getting sued for something.
There you go. Exactly. And that goes back to when Jester was making fun of the king in his own court.
Yeah. That's a good one.
No, thank you. It's truth-based. I recently saw a movie about it, and it kind of helped me understand it a little more, because I always thought, why would the king tolerate that? But they learned to switch it up enough that the king kind of sometimes wasn't onto it, enough, and it helped the people, the townspeople. I don't know why I can't think of a better name for it to describe them, but it helped them get off their aggression by laughing, so it actually helped the king's image that he was able to laugh at his own self, or at least that's how the townspeople took it.
Well, yeah, no, fair enough. And you know what, that it makes more sense as to what they're used for. But you always see in the movies and even cartoons, if they do a bad job, off with their head sort of thing.
Yes.
So you're not abusing me, so next person. I mean, they did that too in History of the World Part 1, even though there was never a Part 2. The Mel Brooks movie, where Mel Brooks was pretty much playing a jester, playing a comedian to a Dom DeLuise, who was Julius Caesar. And, the other jokes were just the cheesy one-liners. They hit the rim shot. So... But but it does make sense. But I wonder, how harsh they actually were on their servants, and I don't think, for the most part, they were too lenient, because at that time, because it seemed like nothing just to say, off with his head.
You would think, but you have to worry about people, rioting and rising up against the crown, and I watched a really cool show called The White Queen, and it helped me understand how all of that worked a little better, the politics of it all.
Well, right, because there's so much, there's so much to be concerned about. You're right. The people revolting and, say, storming the castle, taking the land back, or what have you, and.
Exactly. Another great movie about that topic was A Royal Affair, or The Royal Affair, starring, I'm probably going to mess up his name, and I hate that, but Mads Mikkelsen, who's a German actor. He's amazing, and it's a great movie to learn about all that, and he's a free thinker, and it kind of gets into how they had to deal with the public, and he wasn't playing the king. He was an advisor to the king, and basically he played a much more pivotal part than the actual king in getting, public things done for the public, and they ended up turning against him anyway, even though he was trying to help them.
Oh, I will keep that in mind. I'll put that down on the list for things to watch, which I have.
Yes, it's a Danish film, so you will have to read subtitles if you don't speak Danish.
No, I do not, and subtitles are fine. After watching Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon and subtitles, it's no problem.
There you go. Don't you love that movie? They're making a sequel.
Are they really?
Yes, they are.
I did not know that. That's awesome, actually. But yes, I really enjoyed that movie.
Yeah, it was so good. So I'm very excited about the sequel, and I think a lot of the original cast is going to return. So I'm very excited for it.
So Jet Li, right?
Chow Yun Fat.
Chow Yun Fat. Dear.
Yeah, it's okay. But yeah, I don't know if he'll be back because I thought his character died at the end of it. It's been a little while since I've seen it, but Zhang Zai is going to be back.
I'm trying to think if he did. I can't remember, honestly, and that's really bad. I have to watch that again.
Yes, a good reason to have to watch it again because it is such a great movie. But yeah, Zhang Zai is going to be back for it, I believe, and I'm probably not saying her name right either. Apologies. But yeah, I'm very excited about the movie.
All right, on. So that is all the time we have today for Bloggers Corner. So Britt, like always, thanks for stopping by, and we'll be talking to you next Saturday.
All right, look forward to it.
All right, guys. Until next time, this has been Dr. Bones and Britt for Bloggers Corner. Until next Saturday, thanks for listening. Bones out.